Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to build up your self-esteem? Our next guest knows. Good morning, Giants. I'm Ryan Morris. As always, I'm here with your host, Nicholas T. Smith, and today I have another co-host, Melissa Ross, out of the great Canada. Thank you, Melissa, for joining us today. I'm so excited. If you haven't joined our tribe on Facebook, go ahead and do that. It's called A Tribe of Giants because that's what we are.
It's right here on the bottom.
Ta-da! Abracadabra.
Yeah, abracadabra.
And then also follow us on YouTube. Go subscribe, and then you can see all of our shenanigans and all the great times that we have. So we have a lot of fun times. Melissa, will you introduce our guest today?
It is my pleasure to introduce a true giant, Clarissa Burt. Clarissa is an internationally acclaimed, award-winning media personality, producer, director, writer, author, public speaker, and former supermodel. If that isn't a mouthful, I don't know what is. She is the winner of the Celebrity Survivor show, and she has hundreds of television and film credits to her name. She brings over 35 years of experience in the entertainment industry, and Clarissa is the founder and CEO of In the Limelight Media, which is a multimedia platform consisting of TV, video, a podcast, and a digital magazine. I'm really excited to talk about Clarissa most today, about her book that's coming out shortly. It's called the Self-Esteem Regime. Welcome to Clarissa.
Well, thank you, guys. Now you know why I'm so exhausted.
Yeah, I was going to say your bio sounded like mine right up through supermodel. And after that, I lost you.
It was done.
I made it all the way up through supermodel too, and then it was. Ooh,
How nice of you to have me on the show. Thank you all very much. It's very sweet.
It's good to have you here.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, speaking of giants, when we spoke about the Never-Ending Story before, which I showed you the poster right there. I think it's in German. Yeah, that's the German one because we shot it in Munich, Germany, the movie, in the summer of 1989 in July and August, which were the hottest, balmiest, most humid months, full of mosquitoes and these huge sound stages. And but there were giants in that movie. I don't know if you remember the giants in the Never-Ending Story. You remember those?
Weren't they in that clip? They were in that clip in the background, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So just speaking of giants, we mentioned the movie pre-show, so I wanted to throw that in there. So I'm here ready for all questions.
Yeah, I'm going to throw them at you. So we've got the leader of giants, because in that movie you were the leader of some giants, right? In a way.
Yeah.
So here we have the leader of giants on our show.
Yep.
That's pretty special.
That's right. They were all my giants.
So we want to talk. We want to go back in time. We want to explore your timeline. So how did you get to where you are? So we always go back to the very beginning of what was life like growing up? What was childhood like? Did you have this vision when you started, or did it evolve as you went down that path? So if you want to dive in, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, and yes, I did. Yeah. I was Mary Poppins in the kindergarten play, which was pretty telling because there were a lot of kindergarten kids back in the day. And I was right behind Mrs. Bailey's piano on my sit-upon, right behind her. And I knew the words to every song God ever wrote. And so I was the loudest, the biggest, I think, and the brightest because I never skipped a beat right behind her. And I think it just put me, in the first, place spot to play Mary Poppins, which I did. And if you want me to, I can still sing Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I can do that without a problem. And so that was, I think, my first foray into at Coburn Elementary School in Collingdale, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia, where I was born. And I think I got the bug then. I have 2 Polaroids from that day, 2 Polaroids that are left. I can pull them up in a second to show you. I mean, I've got them over here. I should have brought them to the table. But and that's all I have really from then. And then fast forward from 5 until I actually hit the stage in Italy when I was like 31. So I was definitely a late bloomer, but I made up for lost time.
Yeah, physical pictures. For those that watch TikTok, a Polaroid is this thing that you shake.
Oh,
Shake it like a
stop it
Polaroid.
already.
I picture it like a teen.
She leaves. She's like, I'm out of here.
He's
I'm
offended me. No, I thought I could
Ryan.
find the picture. I thought I could find the pictures, but I
Oh,
can't.
that's funny. Yeah,
All right.
yeah, Polaroid.
All right,
was,
listen.
I was
If you wanna
8
go
years
down that
old when
path,
you were
I turned-
shooting the Never-Ending Story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
All right. Anyway, that was a long
It was
time
my
ago.
favorite.
I was 5 years old in 1964, so do the math.
Oh,
And Polaroid was a big
39.
No, I
39.
turned 62. Was it 2-3 weeks ago, Melissa? I turned.
Yeah,
62.
it was. Yep.
Good for
And
you.
so,
You're
yeah, but I mean, I had
fantastic.
a great time. I had a really good time doing that. And then they asked me to do, Dorothy in the 3rd grade, but I couldn't because my parents wouldn't let me because I had to be home. And I'm the oldest of 3, which meant I had to get my mom work. So we were latchkey kids, and I had to be home to, watch the children, cook the dinners, kind of a mini Cinderella kind of thing. And so, I wasn't able to pursue what I really wanted to do was the stage. And I absolutely adored watching Ava Gardner or Rita Hayworth, the most beautiful women that I thought existed on the planet at the time, dancing and singing their way through these mega colossal, films back in the 50s. And for me, they were absolutely, they were the model for me. And then fast forward, I don't know how fast forward you want me to go, but I was in New Jersey, graduated high school in 1977, and then I moved into New York City because I wanted to be a model. Never thought I could because I just, I was kind of low on self-esteem and came from a household that, was really kind of, it was a downer. It's kind of a downer around that house. And so it was just a really difficult, it was a difficult place for me to be, because if I would show you pictures of what I looked like at the time, I was really truly the ugly duckling. This is the ugly duckling story. And so anyway, it just all pulled itself together back in Manhattan. And I went to a couple of different agencies with Wilhelmina and Elite. I was taken by both of them. So I had the choice, which was great. I chose Wilhelmina, and a couple of months later, now I'm talking about 1981, and a couple of months later, I was in Paris. And then from Paris, I went to Milan. And that's really where it all hit home for me. I don't know if I were to show you some stuff hanging around
Yeah.
the office.
Huh.
I think there's some stuff here. There's a bunch of stuff over there.
We really love it when you pick up the camera and walk around the house. Make it real.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
A lot of people have one document on the wall.
Yeah,
It's like
but
large,
make sure that
right?
you zoom in like right here, like that one spot.
So the rest of it kind of became history. I went to Milan, and in 83, I think I landed in 83 in Milan. And I just started working, and that's pre-cell phones, pre-internet, when you had a portfolio, which was a book of pictures of yourself, and you walked all over the damn city, which was great because you lost a lot of weight. And and that was the way it all got started.
I want to go backward to the self-esteem. So I really want to hit on that, because it would be easy to breeze past that and say, yeah, I had low self-esteem and I just got over it, and now I'm a supermodel, right?
Right.
But I want to talk about that, because I want to really anchor that in for those that are watching, of what that was like for you. What was it like, that self-esteem, and how did that impact you?
I think that, as I grew into my own person, I was able to garner some strength from the beauty, and that was bringing me attention. It was bringing me stages and audiences and a lot of great attention that I wasn't getting anywhere else, certainly not at home. And it was a little bit of a scary slope, because that's not really where you want to be. You don't want to base yourself, you and who you are as a person on your physical beauty. That's the last thing you want to do. And as I looked around, I could see that there were all these beautiful women. I mean, most women in the world, this is the 1% of the most beautiful women on the planet, with beautiful bodies and beautiful faces and, everything you could ever possibly want to be as a beautiful woman. And they had self-esteem issues. I'm like, man, there's something going on. There's really something going on here with this self-esteem thing. And so I kept that sort of in the back of my, that in the back of my cap a minute, because I knew that I was kind of onto something.
Yeah.
And as I grew, this book I've been wanting to write forever, by the way. This is a book that I had promised to write 20 years ago and never did. And everything's just sort of turned ripe, if you will, during COVID. And I work with a really great ghostwriter by the name of Gary Krebs out of Connecticut. And he's one of the top in the industry, in the literary industry. He's also my literary agent. And he heard me speak at an event, and he came up to me afterwards and said, "I got to write your book." I said, "Okay." So that was really that was the affirmation also. And by the way, this was also right post the Me Too movement. So I knew that if I slid in on sort of, behind the wake of Me Too, with the Self-Esteem book, that I was probably going to be in the right place at the right time. The book was picked up immediately. I mean, to have a book be picked up by a publisher in New York City and get an advance during COVID was almost an impossibility. I mean, it was really, that's when it went ding, 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 ding. I think we're on to something here. And yeah, I mean, so the book is 12 chapters worth of words. So every chapter starts with a reassess, reaffirm, responsibility. I mean, we get down the list. And I want each one of those chapters to live as their own hashtag. So as women mostly or girls will go through the book and read it, they can also be in the same place at the same time on social, sort of, talking about where they are in the journey of the book. And regime being an organized way of doing things. A lot of people, make the association to war and the regime of war. This is not that. Regime is an organized way of doing things. And this is how I want self-esteem to play out. Because if you come from a situation, if you come from a tribe, a community, a family that didn't give you the support that you needed, the love that you needed, the guidance that you needed, and a lot of people don't. I mean, I know what I came from. I'm going to say, but both my parents did the best they knew how with the tools they had in the shed at the time. But, we won't go down that path because we don't want to piss people off. But maybe we do, but I really don't. I don't know. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell that joke about
Ryan, I got my eye on you, Ryan. You watch that stuff. Anyway, so self-esteem became really, kind of people go, self-esteem, whatever, it's like a catchword from the 60s, who cares, yada, yada. And I argue that if you don't have your self-esteem in full on check, the minute your feet hit the ground in the morning, and you don't, because self-esteem really doesn't mean nothing more than really great relationship with yourself so that you can have a really great relationship with everyone else you come in contact with. And think about that. Think about your relationships a minute. What's your relationship really truly like with yourself? I mean, are you like digging on yourself all the time? You really love everything you are and everything you do, or are you like a work in progress, right? Same thing is going on with all your relationships, work relationships, love relationships, family relationships. Where are you? Where do you fall from 1 to 10? So the book will walk you through all of that. And it's just really, we've got case studies and exercises, and it's very exciting.
Yeah. So tell us how that evolved out of you. So you had challenges that you overcame around self-esteem, because I could imagine as self-esteem came up, as you're around beautiful people, that you got validation from a lot of people, but it was external. So the internal validation was gone. Yeah. And so can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can, because, as I was, sort of growing the ranks very quickly from when I started to be a model, to be considered a supermodel, because I did, I came home with 250 magazine covers. I was on every major runway in the world. And that's usually a space, guys, that's reserved for 20, 30 women. It's not a big group of women. Yeah. So to be able to say I'm walking on the Valentino show, and I'm walking in the Yves Saint Laurent show, and I'm walking in the Dior show, and I'm walking in the Ferrari and the Versace show, that's a really privileged place to be. So the most important thing there was to not let it go to your head, and to be able to keep your self-esteem in check at the same time, while the whole world was living in a sort of adoration, if you will, and veneration of who they thought you were, because of the imagery. And that really was something I was really, I think, pretty proud of myself to keep in check. Yes, I was proud of myself, and yes, it was successful. but had to be really careful to reel that back in, when the paparazzi are following you and people are stopping you constantly for your autograph. And I mean, it was great. It was lovely. And I do think, however, that I was able to address that with ease, grace, and glory, if you will, because I realized that it was just a part of the gift. It was a part of what was given to me so that I could have a platform to be able to do bigger and better things for more people. I was called in, for example, I was called in by Disney. I don't know if I have that picture around anymore. I was called in by Disney when Disney opened up Paris in 2000 and whatever the heck that was, when they opened up Euro Disney. So I was, television person on Rai 1, so the most important television channel in Italy, and to go to open up Disney. They don't ask many people to do that. You've got to have also a really good reputation, which was very important to me. So, but not because I want to brag. This isn't bragging. This is answering the question about self-esteem and keeping yourself in check. Keeping yourself the best person that you can be, again, in relationship with yourself and in relationship with others. When I would walk into the television studios, there were a lot of, the big wigs and all the famous people and all of that. But then there were also other technicians. And the guy that put the microphone on you and the guy that lit you up, the lighting guy. I mean, I treated them all. I truly, really treated everyone the same. And that, I think, was the key to my success, because even the technicians, when I showed up, we'd have a party. It was like a lot of fun. And that was important to me. That was something that I held very dear. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm answering your questions or I'm just...
No, I think you're doing great, because what I hear is an alignment with who you want to be on the outside with who you are on the inside. And it's bringing the gap between those together. So it's not... You might look good on the outside and have all this praise on the outside, and feel really empty on the inside.
Yeah. And one of the quotes that I made up is, "You are only as beautiful as your last good deed."
Okay, I like that.
So beauty is, and again, in the eye of the beholder, because not everyone can be beautiful to everybody. But it's a lovely thing. It's fleeting, and you have to know how to. You have to know how to handle it with grace.
Yeah, Clarissa, I'm curious about the weight of that responsibility. Like, outside of self-esteem, you're talking about rising into that stardom so quickly, like in that short time period. What did that do to you mentally? That, like, just having the weight of that responsibility on you.
I think that when I was a kid, they used to tell me, "Oh, we don't want to play with you. You're too bossy." Well, okay. I like to
picture my 9-year-old. Yeah.
I would like to turn that around and say, I think I was a born leader, and with that comes responsibility, and with that, you also, as you're going, I probably. I stepped into it. I was the oldest born. Again, I had to take care of the family, the kids, and then I brought up my parents' children, and then I brought up my parents. And then, I was ready to rock and roll, and I never looked back. So I am going to say it really wasn't as difficult as you would think, because I was predisposed to lead. Make sense?
Yeah. Clarify that. If you could say that one more time, and maybe in a different way. So you're predisposed.
Was predisposed to lead. When I was a child, I remember saying, "Oh, she's so dependable and she's so responsible. Such a young girl. How, you're predisposed." It was intrinsic. It was is it inbred or inborn, or is born in me? I don't know.
Hopefully not inbred.
Yeah, I was born with it.
Not inbred. That's Arkansas. Sorry, Arkansas.
Hold on while I pull out the dictionary, will you?
Yes.
Just offended the whole state of Arkansas.
No, we did. Yeah. Sorry.
So, it was a place that I didn't have to step into. It was a place that I already was born into, that I have to give myself permission to actuate. Pull out the dictionary.
Yeah. I love that. And I think we should highlight that for anyone who's watching, because I oftentimes, as a mother to a young girl, my daughter's 9 years old, I will think the same things, and I will just look at her and say, you're just going to be a great leader one day. And sometimes it's frustrating, with that inbred or bred in her, I don't know what the right word is either, but with that born inside of her, with that born leadership inside of her, it's frustrating sometimes, as a parent, parenting someone with that much conviction and that much drive to do the right thing and to be the leader at 9 years old, right? And so I think it's important that we nurture that and recognize it for what it is. And I continually tell my daughter, you're just going to be such a good leader. You're a good leader. And I thank her for helping in those areas. And I try to help guide her in the appropriate way to do that.
So important.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I like to remind guys is, especially girl dads. And girl dads are so important because, I think men forget that they are, as a father to a daughter, they are a little girl's first love. And that is the love that she will be looking for the rest of her life. So however you treat her mother, however you treat her is what she is going to be looking for in other men for the rest of her life. So just be a good guy, will you? Just do the right things by your young daughters, and they're so susceptible, and it's a love that you get, it's kind of like this super duper free love, if you will, that you get from a little girl, and she needs to be nurtured by the dads just as well as by their moms. So just a little side note there.
I like that. I've got 3 girls. I've got 1 boy, and he's a lot more drama than they are. But my 9-year-old, I could see that in her. I have a 17-year-old, a 9-year-old, 11-year-old, and my 9-year-old wants to be a musician. She wants to sing. She wants to be on the stage. She wants to be famous, all these things. And she has this natural drive. And so I nurture that within her. Yeah. To do be that. The man, right. Not for me, though. Not for me.
Yeah. No. But be the man that you would want for her to marry.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Now, was it an easy road? You didn't have any challenges. You got to this point. You became a model. You became famous. It was game over. No challenges.
Yeah, it wasn't game over. I mean, it was definitely the challenges were always there. The challenges were always there. The challenges were really mostly in knowing when it was time to move on. So from modeling to acting, from acting to producing. Because I produced, 3-hour live broadcasts in prime time television with, 2,000 people sitting in water in front of a castle in Calabria, 500 girls and 500 press. I mean, my events were massive and they almost killed me. I was 40 then. I mean, I just couldn't, I wanted to really simplify after that. But, live television is a whole nother animal, as you may know. We're live now, but it's a different setup than it used to be. I had 18 cameras. There were cameras everywhere. It was a big, massive deal. So there, when I moved into entrepreneurship, especially in Italy, it was that was very difficult. There were just so many moving parts and so many things to keep up on, and so many people that were not happy for you. Let's put that in the mix. Wow. So, I got bruised and battered along the way, but mostly more when I went into the entrepreneurial space as opposed to in the personal space. Personal space is, anytime I would go into a bookstore, when bookstores actually still existed, like Walden Books or,
It's right next to the Polaroid section.
Yeah.
Right there.
I would go directly to the self-help section. There was no other book I ever wanted to read. Everything was self-help. Everything was how to be better. Because from the background, from where I came, there wasn't a lot again of support, and there wasn't a lot of anyway, I just went to the self-help section. And so that's where I lived, and that's where I learned. And that's kind of, anytime I have extra time, and even now, I may have a subliminal tape going, or, YouTube going on in the background while I'm working. My house is very Zen-like. I've got, I turn my TV in the living room, I go to YouTube and I find an aquarium. So like my whole TV turns into this aquarium thing. And then I've got, I've got chill music going on, and I've got a little, feng shui, little fountainy thing in the corner. And I've got my diffuser with essential oils going on all the time. So I constantly I create a Zen-like atmosphere within which to work, for sure. And then within which to think and to meditate. And, I just love it.
There's beauty in that, because what you're describing is an environment where your brain can calm down, because when your brain is stressed, you're not going to create very well.
Right.
And so the more you can calm down, they're finding a lot of research around this, where mindfulness and meditation really brings the brain levels down to where you get into that creative space.
Right.
And so what I love about what you're creating here for us as an image is that when you create an environment in your world that calms you down, you're going to show up more creatively. You're going to put more things into the world.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, the Limelight Media is doing some, really amazing things right now. We're, a year and a half ago, guys, I was sitting here going, I wonder because I took all my 50s off. Like my 50s, I didn't work at all.
I think I want to do that. Yeah.
I did. I have two vision boards behind here. One is the physical and one is the spiritual, two vision boards. And I've got like Bentleys and I got everything, things that I really want to see happen, working hard to do that. And so, I keep all of that constantly, the reticular activating system, constantly looking and constantly, projecting what is and what's next. So not because, I need to have a Bentley, but I wouldn't mind having a Bentley. So be careful what you tell your subconscious, because it's going to believe you, right?
Yeah. It's and that's 95% of what you do. I mean, most of our brain is unconscious, and so activating that, bringing it to the forefront, allows us to create more consciously in our world. Yeah. And so you really are taking control of your direction of your life, even if you take the 50s off. I love that. Take a decade
Well, I took my
off.
50s off, and a year and a half ago, I was sitting around going, what's my logo going to look like? And what am I going to call this thing? And in the Limelight, because that's basically, since I was, Mary Poppins, I've been living a little in the Limelight, and so I thought it would be a great name for a company, or my company, and I always wanted to have a multimedia platform, so television. The podcast now, I think we're on 10 different podcast platforms right now. And then the magazine, I'll show you, is in the Limelight. So it's in the Limelight with Clarissa. It's intelligent media for the savvy entrepreneur. And here we have Lady Carnarvon on the cover, who is, she owns Downton Abbey. So if you ever, I don't know if you guys know about the show Downton Abbey, it was a big, huge deal.
Every night, baby. We got this. Yeah, no.
There you go. So she and her
cat's out of the bag.
So Lady and Lord own Highclere Castle, and they became, they're very entrepreneurial, and so that's important that my cover reflects that. And so anyway, so the actual, I think I found the niche in the market whereby solopreneurs and entrepreneurs do get a return on investment when they come through what I call my funnel. And that is starting with a 20-minute video and then ends up with, news releases, press releases on my social, in my newsletter. So there's a whole thing going on there. And then I'm onboarding many different people right now on the In the Limelight channel, which is on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and the like. So, and then with the deal that I'm making now, we're going to be going on to a really huge network within the Limelight. So we're growing in leaps and bounds. I'm not, however, I'm exhausted, but I'm getting the help that I need now, which is great. So
I've got a question for you. So I could imagine that, so you're doing all this stuff. You're in the supermodel world. And that could be your identity. And I think so many people in life, whether they're a supermodel or an NBA star or even whatever they say they are, whatever their occupation is or what they claim to be, that becomes their identity solely, so focused on that thing.
Yeah.
And then it ends.
Yep.
And I see a lot of people that something that they were doing for so long ends, and then they don't have an identity. Yeah. And I think that, talking to you about, their self-esteem and what's next and who they really are is so important and so needed,
So good question.
Yeah. What do you do? What do you do?
Let me answer that for you. So I categorically ask people not to call me a supermodel. anymore. It's in my bio, and if you'll go back and read it and take a look, it's the very last voice. Everything else comes first, and then I wanted to get rid of it altogether. And people said, Clarissa, that's like, a huge chunk of your life. Why would you want to cut that out? The other thing that I did is I went on Survivor and won Survivor, and in Italy, and I don't talk about that. People, I don't want really. It's not like what I want to lead with. And then somebody said, like, Clarissa, again, this is like a really cool thing. People would like to know. So I put that in some. I don't know if it's in this bio, Melissa, or not, but I won Survivor, and I don't talk about it because it's not what I want to lead with. Don't want to lead with being a supermodel. It was a part of my life. It was a great part of my life, but it's not, from that, then I moved on to actress, and then I moved on to producer, and now I'm a multimedia platform. I mean, so I don't lead with being a model. I have a little makeup on, and it's today, and my hair is pulled back. I don't have to show up all. This is just who I am. This is really who I am. So I was really happy to make the transition. As I personally moved forward, I wanted to do bigger and better things. I wanted to be able to, do my speech at Harvard, which I did. I want to do a speech at the White House. I don't care who the president is. I want to move forward. I want to have a place at the podium at the United Nations. In other words, I now project toward helping women all over the world, and I truly believe that the platforms that I had, from being a model or being an actress or being an on camera personality or being a producer, were the preparation for the bigger and better stages that I'm about ready to step onto.
So the word positive comes to mind on this. The word positive, when people hear it, they think, oh, that's in a good direction, and it is, but it means to stack, right? So over life, you've stacked these bricks in your platform that have allowed you to do the bigger things that you're doing today. But when you started as Mary Poppins in school, right? You started with the dream of knowing every song that God ever wrote. And you started with that as your platform, then it evolved to something bigger, and then something bigger, and then something bigger. And so you added and added and added. And I think what people are looking for, which this is what I'm trying to get people away from, is the shortcut. There is no shortcut. When you build a foundation quickly, it'll crumble because you haven't built it and stacked it. And that's what you're demonstrating, is that you stacked over a lifetime a platform that allowed you to do what you're doing today.
And here's another thing that's a great point. Thank you for that. And here's another thing that I would highly suggest, and that is, especially even during COVID, even pre-COVID, solopreneur, work from home, live alone, in my own head all day long. If I build it, will they come? At what I'm building, is it the right thing? It's always up here. Is it the right thing? And then the daily demons.
What was that again?
Yeah. The daily demons. The daily demons, you got the daily demon thing going on. Yeah. And so knowing how to fight the daily demons is really important. I live by, I've got my whiteboard, and I've got I got lists of things, and I step up to my whiteboard every day and I read. Whether it's around money or it's around relationships or whatever it is, I've got my mantras, I've got my affirmations. I have those things keep me up here and not, down here. I remind myself. I do mirror work, which is also in the, it's called mirror therapy. It sounds funny, and I know, but it really works when you start talking to yourself in the mirror. And I know it may sound weird, but believe me when I tell you, it really works. And then I do a lot of the subliminal work as well.
We know it works.
So I do have questions around this.
How often do you step up to a mirror, Ryan, and say, "Damn, I'm looking good today"?
This guy.
Yeah. So I do have questions around that. So Clarissa, so you're stating that you have negative thoughts still. You still have negative emotions come up. But when you battle your demons, what you're describing is that I might have those thoughts and emotions, but my actions and my words are not that. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm so jacked right now about what I'm doing, what I'm building. I'm pretty darn, I have the validation from many now that what I'm building is sorely needed, and it's a really cool thing. Mm-hmm. The mastermind that Melissa is in was giving me a different vibe in the beginning. And I get off of this mastermind going, wow, did that work? Did it land? Did it hit? Yeah. Because I think I'm okay, moderating. It's my life. I think I'm okay. And was I getting value? And was I giving value to the women that were showing up? And by the way, it's a free mastermind. So it's not as though when I say value, I mean true value, right? So I would get off of the phone and I'd call a couple of the gals that are in it that are closer to me and say, I'm going to shut this thing down. I don't, they're writing. I had one gal write to me and say, well, this is the way someone else does their mastermind, and I'm going to send you the blueprint so you can say, all right, well, let that guy do his mastermind the way he wants. I'm doing it in a different way. And the next time I do, we do it every 2 weeks, and I do it again, and I get off the phone, I call a couple closer, girls on there that I'm closer to, and they say, Clarissa, you're fine, you're doing great, don't worry about it. So yes, there was a time. There are times when I second guess myself, and maybe that's the perfectionist in me, because I want to know that I gave everything I could possibly give, and that everybody walked away going, damn. I'm so glad I spent that hour and a half with Clarissa, because not only did I connect with all the other women there, but the information I got was exactly what I needed for the day. What happened is that it started to morph into a different place and space for women to be. Now, reminding you that I'm very passionate about the position and the condition of women globally. It's just kind of how I feel. I wrote a book about self-esteem, and so the mastermind itself started to morph into a place where, and somebody had said at the last mastermind, thank you so much, Clarissa, because you have created a soft place for us to land. So, and that meant, and I thank them again, and I've said it, thank you so much for saying that. Thank you, so much for bringing that, because I almost shut this mastermind down. And as I go every 2 weeks, guys, there are at least 2 or 3 women that need special attention, special intention, maybe an extra prayer. We've had, women, that are going through loss. We had a professor who had one of her students, committed suicide. We have another gal on there who lost a 7-month-old niece recently to an illness. So they come not only to the mastermind for business, but when they get their moment and they say, I'm really in pain and I really need help, we're there for them. So boom, baby. Yeah, I created a damn good mastermind. But for a moment, I almost shut it down, because I was listening to them, a couple of the women going, whatever, didn't get the value. Okay, well, you go right ahead and, find another place to go. And we're going to stay right here and be here for each other. And, COVID I think is a great, point, because we're not really connecting and getting out. And, we're in a different headspace with COVID.
Yeah.
So our computers have been our portal to the world. And my mastermind for 20 women was a place to land softly. And that means the world to me.
The beauty is, too, we have access to the world through that, which is nice. We didn't have that before. Go ahead, Melissa. I cut you off.
Yeah, I was just going to highlight something for our viewers. I think it's really important to highlight, because I'm in the mastermind and I've been so fully supported and met some incredible women in the mastermind. And I would have never known that Clarissa was feeling that way behind the scenes. Not once would I have ever seen that. So I think it's important to highlight that we can feel that way. We can feel those reservations and those insecurities, but we can still move forward and lead with such grace. And others will see that grace if we can just keep pushing through those insecurities and keep doing what we're meant to do.
If we don't have emotions like that, then that would be the definition of a sociopath in a way, because you're unable to experience them, or manic. If we're happy all the time, we're manic. And so having these fluctuations of energy is a normal thing. And so to hear that from a person that's out there really making a difference in the world, to hear that they're human is necessary, because we often look at them and think they're superhuman. I can't do that. And so I just want to highlight that, because the big thing, Clarissa, for our viewers is we want to show them that the giant's journey is possible for them, regardless of where they start,
right?
And regardless of what they create. They can create anything. Yeah. And so the in-between is totally up to them. But having a model like you, having a supermodel, let me say it that way, like you.
It's a role model in this.
Yeah, that's what I mean with it.
Super role model.
Yeah, super role model. Coming in, and
I'm going to lock that down. Superrolemodel.com.
Yeah, trademark that.
Oops, it's live now. Everybody's got it.
Yeah. So it's beautiful because it gives them a vision of what it took for you to get from the beginning of your life to where you are today, and all of the steps and all of the emotions and all of the thoughts that come up, and battling those daily demons. Really, I have negative thoughts that come up. I have negative emotions that come up, but I have a commitment to not act on those and not to speak those to the world. And so that's the difference, is some people will feel those, think those, and then speak them to the world and then act into them. And that's where we're seeing a lot of the negativity today.
I think the other part, of it is, even if you live to be 100 years old, you are on this planet for a flash. It is a flash in time. Yeah. And the more of it you waste, the less of an impact you're going to make.
Yeah.
My legacy, I'm not married and I don't have children. So my legacy will not be passed down through bloodline. It's important to me, and I don't live to leave a legacy, don't get me wrong. But if I know that in my lifetime, I have stopped and made a difference, onesie, twosie, a few women at a time. I've got, I know that I have helped. I'd like to make that a bigger number.
Yeah. Did you know?
That's all I really want to do now. And I think the book will help me do that. I think the book is absolutely the vehicle. The Self-Esteem Regime is going to take me to places that I need to be to impact as many, I say women, certainly men can benefit from this, but I'm really talking about women and girls. I also am the national spokesperson for DomesticShelters.org. They actually they're headquartered here in Phoenix, Arizona, and there are about 3,000, if not more, shelters all over the United States and parts of Canada that take in women and children, and sometimes pets, in very, dire and horrible situations. So again, that's another place where I know that the self-esteem work will do wonders.
You know what I find interesting is that businesses tend to last as long as humans. They tend to have a lifespan of about 100 years. I think the oldest business that exists today is about 500 years old, and it's a shoe company out of the UK. And it's the oldest existing business because of the way that they've run it. It's like they left a legacy for others to follow. But most businesses live as long as humans. And so to have something that goes beyond your lifespan and continues, that does make an impact. That's a positive thing for the world.
Yeah, it is.
So
it is. I think it is too. And so why then if I have to ever fall into the, oh, woe is me, or into the daily demon place, or into, the self-doubting, Debbie, my name's not Debbie, self-doubting Debbie.
And for the Debbies that are watching, we love you. Yeah.
For those of you who are joining late, my name is not Debbie. Yeah. And so
I love bringing the microphone.
Yeah. just so you all know. And so, then I go back and I get not here long enough, leaving a legacy. Wow. It ain't about me. It's about the people that I potentially would be able to impact, help, support, be in service of, whatever you want to call it. I've taken girls into the house. I brought many different times. I brought a call girl in from Vegas. I brought in a girl that was a secretary of mine in Italy because she was being battered by her boyfriend. She lived with me for a year. So again, as I said, I do the onesie, twosie things. And this call girl, by the way, turned her life around completely. Beautiful girl. And she came to me crying, and we figured out what the issue was, and she had fallen into the life in Vegas. And I said, well, honey, you're more than welcome. I got a bedroom and I got a bathroom, and I'm in Cave Creek, Arizona. I'm in bed every night by 8:30, and I'm up at 4:30. So if you want to, and she did, she came and lived with me, and three and a half months later, she left, went back to the church, went back to her family, found a beautiful guy, married him, and started her own business. So sometimes it's really a matter of timing. It's being in the right place at the right time. And if you really want to make the change, the universe is going to put in your path the way out or a way in, whichever you're looking for.
Yeah, I like that. Ryan, can you pull up that comment by Steve, the question? And Clarissa, I don't know if you can see this. Can you read that?
Well, I can if I put on my old lady
There we
spectacles.
go. Yes. Her glasses too. This lady's phenomenal. I need glasses.
Does your guest have any suggestions on how to have a relationship with a partner while creating this amazing life? Loving all four of you. Oh, that's so nice. Thanks, Steve. Here are the suggestions. Just, you got to make the time. It's like anything else. I just recently started, after 10 years time, just started dating someone. We met online. The guy lives in London. Hello. Yes, he lives in London. Yeah. Didn't see that coming. So he's flown here twice in the last month. He has been here twice. And so we're making it work. He's flown here, notwithstanding COVID. There's always a way. If you wanted it, you will create it. And now we're looking at my flying back to London, maybe for the summer, maybe for 4 weeks. We don't know yet, but we're working it out as we're working on the relationship. We find the time to be together while we're both, working our businesses. And it's difficult because he's up all night. He starts working at midnight. He's done at, 9 in the morning, and so there's a little bit of overlap, but just enough to be, and then we're together in the evening for dinner. I mean, we make it work. And I think that, Steve, that, if you really want it, then you're really going to find a way. And that's what I've done.
Is that right? Both of you are committed to making it work. And so if it was just one of you, that would be really challenging.
Yeah. I mean, and the poor guy's exhausted. I'm not going to say he's not. And by the way, I'm up some of the night with him because, I'll wake up and go get the coffee, do all of that, make sure he's up because he's exhausted. He's just flown in from halfway around the world. I'm making sure he's up. Poor guy. He is exhausted, but we're making it work. And so, yes, there's if there's a will, there's a way. And when love is the real deal, there's nothing that will, I think nothing stands in the way of that. So relationships they need the time and the nurturing that your business does. So you're going to be a little bit more diluted in your time that you can give to one or the other, but you can make them both work beautifully.
I like that.
I hope I answered that question.
That was perfect. I thought that was great. Perfect. Yeah. Do you have some additional wisdom you would want to share? Anything in life is somebody
as you're growing, in the self-esteem place and space, as you're growing. One of the points that I wanted to make is you will need support. You're going to need something or someone or a group or that soft place to land, a mastermind, whatever it is, you're going to need support. That's definitely one of the things. Number two, never, this is an easy one, but I have to say it because it's worth repeating over and over again, is never compare yourself to anyone else. It's not your journey. It's not their journey. It's your journey. Relish you in your journey, love your journey, nurture your journey, be the best you that you can be. And don't give a damn about anybody else because you're pretty damn spectacular just the way you are. So there's my rah-rah moment. And then the other thing that I would say is be prepared as you get bigger, bolder, better, stronger, and you live with full-on intention. Be ready to lose some relationships. Be ready to lose some people. Be ready that some of them are going to fall away. Some of them will not understand. Some of them aren't going to get your journey. They're not going to get your path. They're not going to get it. And they're going to feel either slighted or they're going to feel jealous or they're going to feel, whatever it is. That's their journey.
Yeah.
You go on with, and I'm not saying do this narcissistically. I'm not saying do this in full-on conceit. I'm not saying that everything's all about me. But if you're living your best life, you will be attracting others that will be wanting to live in full support of that.
Yeah.
So be really mindful about that. And it doesn't mean you're going to, some of these relationships you may not lose forever. You're just, they will realign. They will look, feel, and, I'm going to say smell, look, feel, and smell differently. I don't know, but they're going to be different. And nurture someone through the change. Explain to someone why the changes you're making in your life are important to you.
Yeah.
And you should be okay.
I feel like you could do a Blue Yeti mic drop right there.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm not dropping this because I just bought it.
Yeah, that's a nice microphone. Well, listen, Ryan, do you have additional thoughts before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I was going to say, damn. I got exactly what I needed to get out of my hour with Clarissa.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was amazing.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah.
your time.
And I'd like to thank Clarissa for being here today and thank her for being such an incredible mentor to me. And I know that Clarissa's been talking about making a larger difference. And, you know, I'm going to highlight for Clarissa before we go how much of a difference she really is making and how that really is trickling down to the next generation. Because I know Clarissa has helped me through a lot of things in my personal life and in my career. And I recall having a conversation with Clarissa where she said some specific things to me that was just like, kick in the butt, like, let's go, it's time, you're to move past this, right? And
you did, and
I
you
did. I did,
and you did it beautifully, and you did it with ease, grace, and glory. Yes, you did.
Thank you. And so my son was struggling with something, and I said, you know, I had a mentor that said this to me, and I repeated the words to him, and he looked at me and he said, "Wow, mommy, I hope one day I have a mentor just like that in my life."
Oh, wait a minute, guys. I wasn't expecting that.
So I want you to know that your words are affecting people and that legacy, you're creating that legacy right now. And I appreciate you so much. I'm so glad to have you in my life.
Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Thank you.
I love it. Yeah. As we wrap up, any final thoughts, Clarissa?
Yeah, you know, again, I love to finish, and I've mentioned it already, but it really is true. You know, you're only as beautiful as your last good deed. You're only as big as your last good deed. You're only as kind as your last good deed, whatever. Just go out and make a difference for somebody today. And it could be the stupidest thing. It could be a smile. It could be holding a door. You know, it could be helping somebody with groceries out to their car. I don't care what, you know, hold an elevator door. It doesn't have to be, it's not, you know, huge things. But I think we're lacking in kindness, and we're forgetting who we used to be with our manners. And, you know, I remember when we were kids being taught certain things that we just kind of slough off these days because it's like, well, you know, the world's screwed up, and who cares if I, you know, show an act of kindness. Just do it. It's going to come back to you. You know, just, you know, it's like the love bank. The more deposits you put into the love bank, the bigger the bank becomes, right? The bigger, you know, but the more withdrawals you take, you know, and this is in any relationship, right? The more withdrawals you take out of that love bank, and then the more difficulty the relationship is going to be in. So just keep throwing stuff in there, and it always comes back.
That's perfect. So Giants, as you finish up this video, go out there, be kind. You might watch this video a year from now. It's not going to matter. It's still relevant. So go be kind, be Giants. And thank you for being a part of this, Clarissa. We're grateful to have you on.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
And go make it a giant day, and we'll see you in the next video.
Love you too.